He has a near daily phone call with Suffolk County Department of Health Services to track these cases. The county health department advises us on who needs to be quarantined, who needs to be notified, who needs to be sent home for a certain number of days, who needs to get a test, who doesn't. They have protocols, we follow their protocols. And Mr. Cohen spends a lot of time every day on the phone with the Suffolk County Department of Health Services to make sure that all these cases are tracked. I think that's the most important change to the district-wide safety plan. Now, the procedure laid out in state law is that the Board of Education has to hold this public hearing, which you're doing tonight. The public has 30 days to send in written comments, or I believe you're going to accept spoken comments in a couple of minutes if anybody has anything they want to add. The plan is posted on board docs. People, members of the public who wish to comment on the plan, can email the board directly. The email address is there, or they can email the interim superintendent or me if they prefer, and we'll be happy to take all the comments and make sure that we respond to everybody. So that's the presentation.
Thank you, Mrs. Snyder. Are there any more members? We have questions or any comments? Okay, before I conclude, are there any comments or questions from the public? The board will accept written comments on the proposed changes, for the next 30 days, at which point the public hearing will be closed. The board will consider a resolution to adopt the plan at the first meeting after the expiration of the 30 days. Thank you. You all who have participated this evening. Seeing no additional people wishing to speak, I hereby therefore declare the public hearing adjourned at 7:12. Now we'll move on to public comments on agenda items. Is there anybody? Anybody in the audience? No. Okay, we go to consent agenda. I need a motion. Okay, so we're going to have a superintendent's report. I'm sorry. Again, we're going to get at the end of this legislation.
Thank you, Scout. Thank you, Ms. Downs. Welcome, everyone. It's so nice to see everyone in person. So it's our first board meeting of the school year in person. So hopefully things go well and we continue to meet together like this. So I would like to congratulate Riverhead High School seniors challenging school year thus far, I am impressed with the dialogue and dedication to this district. Board members, please enjoy the gifts from your district office administrators, and as well as tonight's dinner from the Riverhead Administrators Association. It has been a pleasure to work with you and get to know each of you better over the past few months. Thank you.
Madam President, can I just add something or comment into the superintendent's report?
Absolutely, go ahead.
Now that we're back in person, can you see about getting a report from our student government leaders, either in person or by writing? But I'd like to continue that practice that we did last year. It was very beneficial.
Yes, I think, did they come one board meeting a month? I think they were here for one
I
meeting
think
a
so.
month. So we'll try for the next one, and we'll try to keep it in for the second meeting of each month.
Either in person or by the Dennis Committee report.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, so we're going to go to consent agenda. I need a motion. Motion. Thank you, Mr. Husband. I need a second. Thank you, Dr. Kukulis. Any comments, or concerns?
I do. Letter I, the budget transfers. I'd like to pull that.
The financial?
Yes, letter I. Letter I, budget transfers. Yes, financials.
Okay, what do you got a comment?
I think it's J.
It's J, it's budget transfer.
Oh, okay, so yes, financial, under financials, budget transfers.
It's letter J.
Letter J.
Before you vote, would you like me to ask Mr. Schneider to elaborate on that?
Yes, I wanted to just have some more clarification on what RCSD cares is.
Mr. Schneider?
Sure. So you'll recall that the state issued certain money to districts called the CARES Act. They then issued guidance to districts as to how we need to account for that money in our books and records. What the advice generally is that we have to create very specific budget codes to track the expenses that we can attribute back to that money. And you'll recall that part of the problem is, and this is occurring in every district in New York State, is that the money was allocated to districts as part of the state aid package in the spring. And then over the summer, the state came out with the protocols by which the money had to be tracked. So basically, we had to recreate the budget lines after the budget had already been set and move money around in order to attribute it out to the specific CARE Act money. So what we're doing here is we're asking the board to approve a transfer of funds to cover the expenses to purchase additional iPads and Chromebooks for our students. The goal being to be able to put a Chromebook or iPad in the hands of every student who needs one for remote learning. Thus, in order to keep our books and records in accordance with the instructions from the state, we're asking the board to make that transfer to those specific budget lines.
Okay, so we're going to take J. She has to pull out the budget transfers. And I gotta put it at the end of new business, right? It should be N. No, just pull it and vote on it after. Just do it right after consent. Okay. Okay, thank you. Okay, so we're pulling out J. So the consent agenda without J. We got our second. Can I have a vote, please? All in favor? Thank you. Okay, so letter J, consent agenda, budget transfer.
Can I ask a question about the financials, or? Okay.
You're going to ask about Letter I. Okay, can we finish the vote on J, please? We just voted and approved letter I. So you have a question? We're doing J now. Okay, letter J. Budget transfers, can I have a motion? Can I have a second, please? Thank you. All in favor? Because there's no other comment on it.
On J. There's no other comment on J.
There's no other comments on that. You should have it on mine. After you find out, I just want to make sure you didn't ask for it. Okay. And so, with everybody, Mr. Housky voted no on J. Okay, we're gonna go over to new business. Letter A, approval of board goals for 2021. Could I have a motion, please? Thank you. Could I have a second? Second. Thank you. All in favor? Thank you. Resolution passes. Letter B, approval of chief emergency officer.
Motion. Motion.
Thank you. Can I have a second, please? Thank you. All in favor? Motion passes. Letter C.
Yeah.
Approval of appropriations. Can I have a motion, please?
Motion.
And we can have a second, please? Thank you. Any comments, clear concerns?
Yes, can you just elaborate? Sam, maybe?
Just making sure we have the record straight on who voted for what. You're talking about letter C, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the annual resolution the board adopts in order to set the tax levy. This year's tax levy is exactly the same as last year's tax levy, because that's the rule of contingent budget. The way that the tax levy is calculated is this. The three towns assess property differently. They use different techniques to assess property. We need to be able to compare apples to apples to apples. So the three towns assess their land and tell me how much value they have of our district in their particular town. The state then sets a equalization rate that enables us to be able to compare the three ways of property assessment. So in essence, the town of Southampton assesses property at 100%, meaning the market value is the same as the assessed value. In Riverhead, the assessment rate is about 12.5%. In Brookhaven, the assessment rate is 0.7%. So what I do is I take the value of the assessed value that the towns tell me is district land within each of the townships. I multiply it by the equalization rate that the state provides me. And then we can compare how much equalized value of land there is in the three towns. Based on then you assign a percentage. So it always generally works out that Riverhead is about 8% of the total value of the equalized value of land. Southampton is generally about 19%, Brookhaven is about 1%. You then take the levy and multiply it by those percentages so that each town is responsible only for its proportionate share of the levy relative to its value in the whole district. That's how we arrive at these levy numbers that we see here. Then you do the same thing, I do the same calculation again for the Riverhead Library levy and for the Baden Hollow Library levy. And that way you can say with confidence that each homeowner in each of the three towns is paying what is their proportionate share of value, regardless of which town they live in. We've said in the past that a home that's assessed at approximately $330,000 in Southampton is the same home here in Riverhead that's assessed at about $43,000, and it's the same home in Brookhaven assessed at $2,000. If you multiply the percentages that I talked about before, it all roughly equals out. And that's how you end up setting the levy. Now, in terms of the use of reserves, this is following the plan that we laid out to the voters back in May and June, so that we're using our reserves for specific purposes, and then supplementing the use of the appropriated and unappropriated fund balance to meet our total revenue needs for the year. And the board should know, as we've said before, that it is very likely that we're going to be back before the board probably in January to have to take more money out of the unappropriated fund balance in order, out of the other reserves, in order to make up for the shortfalls in state aid, which are inevitable, but we just don't know what those numbers are yet. The state has delayed once again informing school districts as to exactly how much state aid is being cut. So until that happens, I can't give you a firm number. But that's how the tax levy is calculated. The numbers also show that there's year to year, as those equalization rates change, the percentage of the tax burden for each of the towns shifts amongst the three towns.
Sam, I have a question. Did we receive the September aid run from the state?
In part.
Was anything deducted from that?
Nothing was deducted in that, but we are still missing money from the state for certain programs from last year, particularly for the universal pre-kindergarten program. The state has not made us whole on UPK grant from last year, which of course makes, leaves me with some concern on where the state plans on leaving us this year. The state has said publicly that they're not making cuts to the state aid runs in September and October. I suspect, although I have no independent evidence of this, I suspect one of the reasons why they're doing that is most of our state aid for September and October is deducted to pay the bill for the teacher's retirement system. Teachers' retirement system districts pay that bill by the state aid is diverted in September, October, November. And then they leave you with whatever's left. They go to TRS in November. So I suspect one of the reasons why the state is not cutting the September aid payment is TRS has to be made whole one way or another. So it doesn't pay to do that.
Have you heard, and this could be just rumors that I've been hearing, that the state may not be deducting anything from our aid from certain districts similar to ours?
I have not heard that directly. I've talked to the interim superintendent that after the election is over, on November 4th, I would like to recommend that we go see whoever are our three elected state legislators at that point to push for the need for this district. We have many needs that aren't felt as acutely by some of our surrounding neighbors. And as soon as we know who's going to be representing this district in Albany, I'd like to see the interim superintendent, me and the board, whoever would like to join to press our needs. We have a lot of needs, particularly given the fact that there are contingent budget this year. But no, I haven't received any information either way. The state has been a little bit dark in what they're sharing with us.
All right, I just would hate to, us not to fund the arts and clubs and sports and then find out that we do not get a deduction in state aid.
Mr. Brewer, as soon as I am told anything, I will be sure to share it with the superintendent, to share with the board. I know Ms. Tone and I are frequently talking about where we end up state aid-wise, but no, we haven't been giving any concrete information, and I suspect it won't be until after November 3rd.
When do we get the October run?
Say that again?
When should we get the October state aid run?
It varies, I can check, but again, we're not sure to see any net cash inflow. It's going to go to pay down the debt, to pick up the bill to teachers' retirement system, but I can get the information from the treasurer as soon as we get it in, and I'll let you know.
Thank you.
Okay, so I have a second on this, right? No, you pulled it before. Do I have a second on the thing?
You pulled it out. I just asked for elaboration. You asked comments.
Okay, so all in favor? Mr. Husky is a no, everyone else is yes. Approval of memorandum of agreement. Motion. Thank you, can I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Comments and concerns?
Just for clarification, do these have certification? Ms. Tona? Yes, these people are, doing an additional period in their assignment as a teaching assistant.
All those in favor? Motion passes. Approval of contract. Could I have a motion, please? Have a second, please? Second. Thank you. Comments and concerns? I hear you. All in favor? Motion passes. Renewal of contract. Motion. Thank you. Could I have a second, please?
Second.
Any comments or concerns? Not seeing any. All in favor? Motion passes. Adoption of retention and disposition of LGS-1. Could I ask a question before we do it? Is these the papers that we go through so many years so we can toss out after so many years?
Yeah, they made some modifications to the schedule and did some consolidation, so that's why you're just adopting a new schedule. There's not any changes to it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, can I have a motion? Motion. Can I have a second, please? Second. Thank you. All those in favor? Motion passes. Letter H, approval of FY. Have a motion? Motion. Have a second? Thank you. Comments or concerns? Seeing none? All those in favor? Motion passes. Letter I, first reading of revised board policy. Have a motion? Motion. Have a second? Second. Thank you. Any comments and concerns? Not seeing any? All those in favor? Thank you. Motion passes. J, second reading of revised board policy. Comments and concerns? No. Motion.
Motion.
Second. Nobody can see my face in a minute. All those in favor? Motion passes. Letter K, approval of donation. Have a motion, please? Motion. Have a second?
Second.
Thank you. This is a donation from the East End's Lions Club. They donated 4 boxes of children's face masks for the elementary school nurses' offices. I'd like to thank them. All those in favor? Motion passes. We have to add letter L. Letter L is to be resolved that the Board of Education of the Riverhead Central School District hereby accepts charges referred by the Superintendent of Schools pursuant to Section 75 of the Civil Service Law against an employee identified in the notice of charges dated October 13, 2020, and appoint Stephen O'Brien, Esquire, to serve as a hearing officer to make findings of fact and recommendations to the board with respect to those charges, and that would be for employee A. Have a motion? Thank you. All those in favor? Motion passes. I have to add letter M. Letter M is employee B. Is employee B. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Riverhead Central School District hereby accepts charges preferred by the Superintendent of Schools pursuant to Section 75 of the Civil Service Law against an employee identified in the notice of charges dated October 13, 2020, appoints Stephen O'Brien, Esquire, to serve as the hearing officer to make findings of fact and recommendations to the board with respect of those charges. Those, motion?
Motion.
Thank you. Second?
Second.
Those in favor? Thank you. Now we're adding letter N. Now letter N is going to be a little bit of a discussion because we're talking about barriers. Before we even go for it, we're gonna talk. Would you like to start the conversation with Ms. Jones?
So we've been discussing the possibility of using barriers to bring elementary students into school on a full-time basis. We recognize that several districts that surround us recently have purchased these barriers. It allows, the state ed regulations allow for 6 feet of social distance or barriers. So I know I brought this up to the Board of Education in the past couple of weeks in discussions, as this is something to think about. The fact that we're on a contingent budget definitely muddies the waters a bit because none of the other districts are on contingency. The cost, if we were to provide barriers for all of our kindergarten through 4th grade students, is approximately $93,000. If we were to add barriers for the 5th and 6th grade students at Pulaski, it would be approximately $25,000 in addition. Our budget is very tight, as you know, as a contingent budget is. If we put these barriers in place, we'd be bringing the students closer than 6 feet. They would continue to wear masks. Something to definitely consider is the fact that we hold the health and safety of our staff and students at the forefront. We recognize that we're here to educate students. It's a delicate balance that we have between the two. So I think the Board of Education wanted to speak about that further.
Thank you, Ms. Tony. Any comments from the board?
Yes. So, of course, I would want students to come back to school. Where is the money coming from to purchase the barriers?
Mr. Schneider, would you like to comment on that?
It's going to come from the same place all the other unanticipated unplanned expenses have come from this year.
And that would be,
It's going to end up eventually being the unassigned unappropriated fund balance. We've had to hire a number of teachers this year to accommodate student need. We've had to spend a lot of money on PPE equipment, on testing, thermometers, et cetera. It's going to end up coming from the same place everything else is going to end up coming from. We're going to spend down whatever contingent money is in the budget, and we're going to end up with no choice but to take out of the unassigned unappropriated fund balance. It's far from ideal financially. I understand the desire of many people to bring back students for as much as possible, but it's very expensive, and it's going to hurt financially.
I have a question. How much of the unassigned fund balance have we dipped into?
Only what the board approved tonight. We can't touch it without board approval. And as I said earlier, I'm not going to put anything in front of the board to continue to go into the unassigned fund balance beyond what was part of the financial plan in May, until I get some firmer numbers from the state about where our state aid is going to end up. And then periodically, as we go along, with the superintendent's permission, I'll be presenting the board with resolutions recommending that money come out of the various reserves, including the unassigned unappropriated fund balance. But at the moment, we're going to approved earlier this evening, nothing.
Can I ask another part of that? So if we were not to get barriers, what is the possibility of having students back in the school?
Without the barriers, the students would have to maintain 6 feet of social distance with masks. Most classrooms can accommodate 12 to 14 students. Right now, looking at the distribution of students across the K-4 classrooms with the 2 different cohorts, without barriers, it would be almost impossible. There may be some classrooms that can accommodate, because we subtract out the kids that are full virtual. And there's a wide range of the number of students that are left in the classroom. Some classrooms might have as low as 11 total, but other classrooms have 24 total. So, and that's just A4. We'll ask you to be higher because their class size limit is higher.
Okay, I'm concerned with that also. I want to have the students, especially K4, back in 5 days a week. But I'm so concerned if our aid gets cut, where would we find the money? We couldn't find money for students who perform in Blue Mass or in music or in sports, but we can find for maybe barriers. Also, I'm hearing that elementary classrooms are like 5 a cohort, 5 kids in a class a cohort, and there's desks in there that fit up to 15.
There's 12 to 14 seats generally in a classroom, based on the square footage, and different classrooms have different square footage. And so there are some classrooms that have 10 students total, so there may be 5 and 5 in 2 different cohorts. But then there are other classrooms that might have 10 or 12 at a time, and there may be 20 total. And there's no way to fit 20 students in one classroom with 6 feet apart with no barriers.
Can the students in the classes with the higher number of students be spread out into the classes that lower and average out, so every classroom has 12 to 15 kids in their classroom?
For example, 4th grade across the district is high. I looked at those numbers. I have them on the spreadsheet. So if I look at 4th grade, there's between 20 and 24 students in every 4th grade across the district. So that would make it difficult to move kids. If we could, we'd be moving kids across buildings, which is difficult as well. But if it's not a possibility, while it works for some classrooms, it doesn't work for all, and that's the challenge that we're having.
Can we start with our kindergarten class who needs to be in school and see if they work, and then go to 1st grade and see if they work, and see where we can go up? Because our kindergarten, 1st, 2nd grade need to be in class every day.
I think all kids need to be in school.
Yeah,
Every day.
yeah. I think, excuse me?
I would like K through 4 in every day. I think that expense, you know, I understand, but it's an educational hardship. And so our priority is that those children are in school every day. There's mandated services that it's problematic getting them their mandated services in the situational area. So in this situation, I'd be comfortable going K through 4, ideally K through 6 with the barriers.
And going back to Mr. Doerr's comment, I just want to add, because of the virtual classrooms, we did a lot of consolidating over the summer in order to pull teachers out of buildings to become virtual teachers. So for example, at Aquabah, there's 3 kindergarten sections right now, when typically there was 4. So one of their kindergarten teachers, or 2 of their kindergarten teachers, and somebody got moved, became virtual teachers. So it leaves 3 sections of kindergarten at Aquabah at 19, 21, and 22. So we did already make a lot of changes to consolidate the students, but we tried to keep them within the same building, because then once we move them across attendance zones, that's a different issue with transportation, and they're not with their students that they live near, and we're trying to keep the students in their attendance zones. But even if I look at the buildings, I know Roanoke is the smallest for kindergarten, but they have between 11 and 16, depending on the class, and depending on which students chose to go virtual. But we did do shuffling. But when you look at it overall, if we could make those consolidations to make it work without barriers, we certainly would, but it doesn't work consistently and equitably across all 4 buildings.
It's just really hard to explain to parents who come to me and say, my child only has 5 people in their class and there's 15 desks in the class. Why can't they be in school every day?
Again, the answer is when I look at the whole district, I look at all of the sections. While there are a few sections that are small, the majority of sections are 18 to 20, 22, and we did pull teachers out of the building so that we would have them work with virtual students, and the virtual students are across the 4 K-4s by grade level. And we looked at everything we can look at. I mean, we want nothing more than to bring the students back full-time.
So my personal thing is I'd love K-4 to start off with and see how it works out, and then advance to Pulaski Street if we could. I know Pulaski Street's going to be a little bit harder because there's more children, but I would like to see K-4 with barriers and see. I would like the whole district to come back to the time, but I think the K-4 would be a good start, and see if as it goes along, if we could eventually bring it on, because like I said, even next year, it might be the same thing. So we'll need the barriers anyway. They're not going to go away, that's for sure.
Well, that's a decision the Board of Education, if that's the direction you want going.
So do you guys want to do the K-4?
Definitely.
You want to do K-4? Susan?
Yes.
K-4? Virginia?
Yes,
K-4? Mr. George?
Even though I'd like to see kids in 5 days a week, I'm against the purchasing of barriers. We don't have the money.
Mr. Conley? I can't hear you. K-4? Is that? Thank you.
I do have one question. We did the contingent budget, we have a leftover amount, I think, approximately $56,000. Where did that money go? We were on 156,000. We brought back the employee, then we have another 57,000. Where did that go?
Then we hired a number of other staff members, and that's what they'll do.
I would personally love to see K-4. I understand Pulaski is overcrowded as it is. We have a lot of people in this district that are anxious to take care. We're trying to get things done that aren't going to work. I mean, kids will benefit. I mean, the services that our kids aren't getting properly, and that's beyond a lot of people's control. Having them there every day, and being able to properly get the services they need and deserve. I 100% love to see K-4.
Ms. Dash. I don't want to speak for you, Mr. Connolly, but are you saying yes to K-4?
Yep, I'd like to make a motion that we purchase barriers for K-4 students in the district.
All right, so, okay, so let it end.
Second.
Okay, so let it end barriers with K-4. Can I have a motion?
We did, and I second.
You did the motion? Do you have a second? Steve? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. And those against? Okay, Mr. Torres, no. Yeah. Okay, so, K-4.
Yes, I'm not changing my vote. I just, so they would be purchased when and when would they be available? Obviously. We have a quote already, so we'll start processing the quote, and then it's a matter of how long it takes to be delivered. But my understanding is 2 to 4 weeks out. So we'll get an estimated delivery date, and then we'll start making our plans. It would be probably 4 weeks out, because the buildings have to make adjustments, and we have to notify families, and some families may need to make adjustments to plans as well.
So, like December 1st? Or like,
I'm
oh, it's
hoping-
already,
I'm hoping before then, but
Okay.
let me see what the date is for delivery.
okay, thank you.
Okay, so. Opportunity for board members, we have no board committees, right, this week?
Would you mind? Mr. Dillon? Yes. On the high school level, I received a spreadsheet from several teachers that went around 2 weeks ago asking for the names of students who have had no contact with, either virtual or in person. And there was over 270 separate names on that list. We've passed the 20-day of school. If we've had students that have not made any contact in the school, their attendance is 0, they should be dropped out of school. That would give us extra space because some of those hybrid students are not attending. I know it would affect our dropout rate, but our failure rate is going to be astronomical because these students aren't putting in any work and are not going to pass. I'd like to see those students drop from our rolls.
The information that I've received is a smaller number than that. So I would ask if I can go back tomorrow and have a conversation with Mr. O'Hara and find out where the discrepancy lies between the information you received and the information you provided. Something else to consider, this is an unusual school year. The high school, all of the buildings have been working to locate students who have not participated or attended, and that would just be the major concern that I would have, would be that we would be dropping students prior to giving them a full effort to make sure that they're available to be enrolled. So, you know, we've had not full attendance every day, so 20 days is not the same 20 days as we've had in prior years.
Why is that? It's 20 school days.
But we have different cohorts. We have the in-person cohort as well. I would want to look into it a little bit further.
But even the remote, they have to take attendance on remote days, so that's the same as the school day.
Let me look into the discrepancy between the numbers and then report back to the board Friday and let you know where we are with that.
This would also allow us, if anybody was dropped and wanted to remain in school, they would have to re-register. And we'd also be able to check on addresses and correct addresses.
All right, let me look into that.
Any other board members? I just have something to kind of piggyback on Mr. Dorr. So can you go through the process of when a community member reports to the school the multiple families in a single family home, and how does that work and how is it investigated?
Depends on the information that we receive. For example, it was brought to our attention recently that there were multiple students at a bus stop. The bus stop was a permanent address, so that address was looked up in our student management system, and there were 2 students assigned to that address, 2 different schools. We checked the transportation to confirm how many students should be at that bus stop, and if that information all checks out, then that case is closed. If there's additional information that we receive, for example, we received information recently about a potential family who the unknown source felt that they had purchased a house in another district. So we contacted the town of where that house was located, and we asked the town assessor to confirm who owns the house. And we found out that it takes sometimes 30 to 60 days before it actually catches up. So right now, there wasn't a change of ownership, so we don't have anything to lead us to believe that there's wrong address there, but we're going to continue to check back on a regular basis. So we keep a spreadsheet with information, and you know, we're definitely trying to approach this in a different way, and we thank anyone who brings any information to our attention while investigating it. Thank you.
One last thing, I understand that the majority of the cost for sports, music, clubs, the arts was salaries. Has anybody asked the teachers to volunteer their time? Because it is all about the kids. I would like that to be asked of the teachers to volunteer their time to coach or to sponsor or chaperone these clubs and art performances and music.
Okay, I'll pass that along, thank you. Excuse me, I would, I don't think we discussed, in like intramurals or some other type of activities, that we maybe, provide for the students when we go to cohorts, so maybe we can have that conversation also, some of the things that we can look to do for our, students, once we go to cohorts at 7 through 12. That's where we are with the task force. Can you hear me? Okay, so when we go to 7 through 12, the two cohorts, to look into more activities for our students, intramurals or student-led type of activities also. And again, if we can, see whether there can be some volunteering on the end of our staff. I shall inquire. Okay. Now, I just also, on our website, our students, I also want to mention the student musicians and, say their names again, that were recognized, Nathaniel Bond and Laura Hales, William Green and Ethan Lucas. Also, we had 86 AP scholars named in Riverhead, 55 were named AP scholars, 13 earned recognition of AP scholar with honor, 18 were recognized as AP scholar with distinction, including one student who also earned the National AP Scholar designation. And I know we mentioned before, but I think it's worth mentioning again, and their names are up on our website. So I think it was a great achievement that our students accomplished. And I know also CAP honored a lot of volunteers through their book donation. And I also enjoyed reading about stemming it up during recess. There's a Phillips Avenue Elementary School teacher, Jeffrey Almanaeus, and he created some great fun indoor recess bags for each of the students, STEM and STEAM themed indoor. And just a lot of other wonderful things that are on our website. So if people could, read it and take a look at all the things that are happening in that district. RCSD.
Before my remarks, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank all the board members for their service to the community. The conditions you currently hold are difficult. Under all circumstances, there will be numerous challenges we face during this time to develop an incomplete and difficult. Thank you for your service to the community and to your students. We are well aware of the challenges caused by the global pandemic. Educators, parents, and students in this district welcome the day of instruction from in-person to a class full of students. We realize that there is no substitute for in-person education, and we want to make sure that as we phase in new in-person education programs, it is done in compliance with the guidelines set very well, but I'm also very concerned about the safety of students and children. I know that the incidence of illness in children is very low, but the incidence of transmissibility from children to adults is very high. And I want to make sure that whatever is done is going to be health and safety for our staff and for our students. Very concerned about that. And just to comment on the coaching positions for volunteering, I just want to make it clear that it is the position of this organization of the coaching and college. So, we'll have a conversation about it. Thank you.
The first thing I would like to understand where you are as the process of trying to transition back to qualifying school for students. School districts around us are always struggling to transition, and I understand why this is not even being discussed. Parents should be able to make a choice to send their kids to school, and if we can't have low ratings and at least we don't invest in kids, we need infrastructure to build their foundations for education. We need to reach out to districts and find out how we are accomplishing this. Working as a team is highly schools ready on teachers and students. It is unsustainable when teachers are working long hours of the day and night to keep up. They will be calling down and like sick. Therefore, they are the children's welfare are important. Also, other department heads will not be frustrated not being burdened by teaching virtual students. Think that may be using resources. I might be wrong or correct here. What if there are individuals in the district that are not engaged in this?
So the first part of the question, I think we were answered this evening by taking control to purchase barriers to bring students in K-4 5 days a week. The second part of the question about department heads not in the classroom. Five department heads are part of a different, they're part of the Administrators Association, they're not part of the Central Faculty Association, so there is clear line as to what the members of each of those units can and can't do. So our department heads are very busy, our directors been taking on additional work this year to fill all the administrative roles that we didn't have, we didn't have people for. So many of them are taking on additional role responsibility this year. And we thank them for doing that. They do a lot of teacher observations, as well as assistant daily operations and curriculum development and working with teachers to do professional development. So that we know at this point we can have our department administrators teaching. Okay, next one is from EPSCs will like to request a partition from desks and tables in the students on the school content. Other districts are beginning to do this with kids living on kids week. Our kids going to school for 2 days a week is not working. It is not working. It is not for working parents or teachers. Kids are trying to help themselves, but they need to leave kids to do work, and parents get home and help them. Teachers are doing twice and 3 times more. It is not even within 1 minute to figure out how to get kids to school for 2 days a week. Again, thank you for that question. You can ask this for K4, and we'll continue to look at 5, 6 in the future. The next is from William K. While I understand the salary ranges for teachers are contractual, I want to inquire your time, custodial staff, legal needs, traditionally the office assistants, bus drivers, cars. The buildings are less full, and in fact, the child is going to the actual school 6 times the entire year's calendar. Why, with my own contingency, we need to hire this large amount of staff? You know the lesson this entire piece
understand the cost of the RCSD program reimbursed by the federal government. So that's how that cost is covered for the most part. If you look at the other fires, we have the blessing of people left.
The next one will honor Austin Day Hall. What is the current status on the search for a permanent superintendent to replace the Robin Rodriguez? The firm is hired to assist with our search. What is the process thus far, and how much of the taxpayers paid to this firm today? Budgetary transfer report. There are 11 line item transfers being made to the general fund total $609,151.37. Most significant of the 11 transfers is $100,000 is being moved from line items administrative salary to the second upper line items. $200,000 is being moved from line item plus work salaries to the same second line items. $30,000 is being transferred from line item clerk at high school. $45,353.57 from line item clerk at Gillespie. $22,000 from line item psychologist high school. $25,105 from line item social workers also being moved to the same set of line items. What's
She comes home and she says, here's the request that I should have
go and video and learn a lesson and not go home and come home. Because I sat in school and my teacher didn't teach me. So my question is, when you bring them in 2 days a week, is it 1.5 other 2 cohorts? Because you're doing it better on the own without so you don't have to answer that right now, but this is just a lie that's happening and you should be surveyed parents about it. And the second thing, when you talk about funding and then moving in the budget, but then you kind of say that when you're trying to hide something in the decision, which I've been very open about. I decided not to keep my children from my child alone after they were in this position. And I've made phone calls, I've spoken to several of you about finding alternative kinds of solutions. I think kids will be able to work out, and alternative things is not going to sustain what we do, especially when we're losing the budget cuts. In my profession, I work every day because I'm a nonprofit in our community serving our population who are getting their need funds to help underserved communities for education purposes, for health care purposes. If you know that the budget is going to be cut, what efforts have you made to date? Not saying when you get to it, is whatever you know, one at a time, to
To sustain programs so that next year we don't have a failed budget. Next year we're not faced with those supports. I'm getting a little frustrated because I've made many phone calls and said, oh, you'll be called at the end of September. Oh, we want to be here, we want to look. I just want to know what is going on. Are we checking the boxes every day, just getting by? Are we really planning for the future so that this district continues to have AP scholarship distinction? Because I gotta tell you, my 15-year-old, she might be getting credit for these classes, but she's not learning. She's a bright young girl. She's not learning. And I gotta go to work every day. I can't become an AP teacher. Can't do it. So, I am a bit frustrated. I'm a bit concerned for my own child. I'm concerned for those kids that don't have parents that are advocating for them. And I want to know, what are you doing to seek other funding opportunities? Because it's out there. And we have the population that proves to get the additional funding sources.
First of all, I want to apologize. However, you're not the first parent that we've heard this from. We get emails, we get phone calls, individuals get phone calls and stuff. And we have, as a board, brought this to the attention of the superintendent. And as far as I know, this is all being looked into. A lot of these discrepancies that we talk about. And I want to apologize.
Listen, it's fine to apologize, but that's not the solution. We want answers.
Board members cannot go into the
And I want to hear from the faculty union. You know what? I could be a teacher right now, but my God, everybody's working hard.
The school board oversees the superintendent. We don't tell the teachers what to do. We go with the superintendent, and that's what we did. We started last week, in fact, we brought it up. It's being looked into, as far as I know, right? It's being looked into. I can have Ms. Tillman tell you more about what she's doing.
I've spoken to Mrs. Snyder before, and we've had the conversation. There's no excuses, but right now it's incredibly busy in the district. I'm sorry, that's not an answer. Your AP scores already are so low in this district. If I can have my moment to respond to you. You are on my list of people. I have had a conversation with board members. Right now, our priority is working on trying to make changes to cohorts. And there's only so many hours in a day. Right now, we don't have as many administrators as we had before. And it's a huge job. I enjoy the position right now as interim superintendent. And I spend hours beyond a regular workday. If I had more hours in a day, I would have called you already. So I promise you that within the next few days, I will give you a call. But does this board and this administration truly understand, and I guess you do, that every day you don't look into alternative funding solutions, your chances to procure funds for next school year, forget this school year,
is you're losing those opportunities because there's deadlines, there's guidelines, etc. So somehow this has to become a priority because your budget gap is going to continue to grow, and who's going to suffer? The kids. So it's, I get it, I get everybody is overworked, I understand that, and we have had conversations, but what I'm here just to plead to you again, to all of you, to make this a priority. And I know it's not intentional, and I know that you're trying your best, and I don't think that you're not, but something's not working here, and the kids are going to suffer, and it's not, you know, you're going to have more kids dropping out. You're going to have even, your numbers are going to get worse and worse and worse because kids that have, every kid has the potential to do well. But kids like my daughter that now I'm very fearful for this 10th grader looking at the track history of their AP tests and stuff in history, and it's only going to get worse if she's not being taught the material. And I'm not here to call out a teacher or anything because it's not about one teacher, it's about a culture here. So if things have to change, number one, and there's funding opportunities out there right now that you're missing. the teachers are expected to teach live, actually teach while the students are in the classroom?
Yes.
Okay.
Is that not happening? I would say they probably had it happening
That order occurs, and it's fine. Again, I guess it's a perception, and it might not be the majority, but from the parents and from the majority of the parents that I speak to right now, that is not necessarily what's happening. That, students are expected to either bring in their own personal computers that they haven't been provided with Chromebook, or to make sure that they have a phone so that they can go on and watch the video or do whatever work independently. Not every, I was very glad my daughter's chemistry teacher did do a lab the other day in person. So you're right, it's not everybody, but the majority of it going on is not happening because teachers are finding it difficult to do both.
And have you had a conversation with Ms. O'Hara? I'll touch base with her.
And I'm not, and listen, I don't even blame the teachers right now because again, I think it's a culture of what's going on. And I don't know if expectations have been set or have not been set. So I can now inform my daughter to say, do not pull your phone out. If your teacher instructs you to pull your phone out to do your classwork, you don't have to do that today. And because that's what's happening. And I don't want my kid on phone, being taught on phone, So that's what my instruction is going to be to her. And I get it. Everybody is trying their best. And I do talk to Mr. O'Hara, and I do talk to people in high school. And I try and come up with solutions, and I try and give everybody the benefit of the doubt. But it's my responsibility as an officer, as you, that you have a 10th grader who's in these classes who's not being prepared for the next level of our academics, and it's a concern. And like I said, I did start this conversation about positive, saying I did have a student who did very well and is doing very well in college, and we're very happy that she got 30-something credits going into college and saving a year plus for tuition, etc. So I get it. There's opportunities here, but what I'm saying right now, I don't think it's working, and my bigger concern is it's going to continue in the future because we're not coming up with alternative funding solutions, anticipating for this to continue. It's great that we approved this for the elementary schools, so I'm really, really happy, but I'm not sure how it's going to support the high school students right now, who are at critical points in their academic years going on. And listen, I'm a parent who's understood and knows that your kids are going to be okay. If their destination is to go on to college, they're going to find a college to go to. So it's not like I'm crazy that you have to go to these top schools, but I want my child to be given the best opportunity, and she can be taught 70% of the curriculum and walk out knowing that 70% of the curriculum, and that's her ability. I'm happy with that, but she's not being given that opportunity right now. I truly believe that, watching this. So, thank you.
Good evening, Debbie Rogers Hackelbach, and also the President of the Riverhead Administrative Association. I just want to take an opportunity to thank and recognize the Board of Education for their dedication and service to our students and community. It's a thankless job. The decisions that you've had to make since July 1st moving forward have been very difficult decisions, and we recognize that. And although we don't always agree on the decisions that you make, we understand the time, effort, dedication, and conversation that you have and think about prior to making those decisions. This evening, we thank you for providing your care. We appreciate all that you do for our district, and thank you again.
Thank you, sir.
I'll say one more thing, because I think that what you're saying, at first I didn't agree with you, but then when you said that you're doing the next
Board, please.
oh, I'm sorry, my daughter is in, Pulaski Street, and
Do you have a question for the board?
no, I'm just piggybacking on what I was saying before.
Well, then you can talk to her.
Wow.